Hello, and welcome to Guys Like Us, the podcast about champagne problems and existential questions. How are you, Paul?
Good morning, Marc. I'm getting there. Coffee's helping.
Coffee. You'll notice we haven't been sponsoring each other. We haven't been sponsored lately. We've been sponsored by caffeine.
Yeah, because we're recording in the morning, and I think if we had an alcoholic beverage sponsor now, you should rightly so, plan an intervention because it would be too much.
I'd be worried.
I'd be worried. Yeah.
How was your night?
I'm going to tell you later when we talk about the idiot of the week. No, but it's good. I mean, yesterday evening was amazing.
Yeah,
we had a really good time. We went. What's the name of this place?
Claude.
Okay, the food was fantastic. Yeah,
it's one of the great wine. It's not even really a wine bar. They say it's a wine bar, but
do they?
Yeah. It's like these phenomenon of extraordinary, because they're smaller plates, I guess, in a way.
Have we ever been to Mast in Vienna, actually?
No.
That's exactly the same thing.
It's the same idea?
Same idea. Yeah. And it's my favorite place.
Oh, perfect.
It's amazing.
I know what you like. That's good. So I'm happy.
Yeah. No, but also the place afterwards.
Terra Blues, which is amazing, amazing blues place, Chicago blues place in the West Village. And one of my favorite guitarists was playing, Saron Crenshaw.
Yeah, and that's something we just don't get. I mean, period. That's something you only get here in New York and not in Vienna, for sure, not like that.
Yeah, it's a very American experience. So, well, listen, I'm really excited for today's topic. And, I thought I would start, it's about superpowers. And, I was wondering way back when, whether or not you had a superhero that you loved growing up.
That's a very good question. And I actually did not. I think my superhero was Michael Knight from Knight Rider. That was my superhero. David Hasselhoff was my superhero. What a great side to this podcast.
This is great. Exactly. I love the car that kid respond to you and the Hoff. Actually,
it's true.
This is so on brand. Like in the US, like we're always convinced that the Germans and Austrians by default just have an obsession with David Hasselhoff. It's a thing.
We do. I think that's the only place on earth where he's big, but he is bigger than life there. I mean, it's a thing, right? I actually remember the kit, the car was somewhere in a shopping center and we went there. This was one of the first time, and maybe that's also superpower. That's how I learned, a little bit of bullshitting. I had my school bag, my whatever Schultasche was a Knight Rider Schultasche, so it had Knight Rider motifs on it, right? So, but I wasn't allowed to watch Knight Rider. Right?
Oh.
So then you go to school, you have that school bag, right?
Yeah.
And then, classmates ask you, so what happened, right? Or did you watch the show yesterday? And I was like, yeah, of course. So yeah, and then wasn't it amazing? So yeah, it was amazing. The car jumped and then the bad guys, went away. And that was always, always right. I didn't need to watch it because it was actually very easy to describe what happened without ever having seen it. So yeah. Sorry, that was a bit of a detour.
No, it was an amazing one. Well, I want to add to that because first of all, I was also a huge fan of Knight Rider. I mean, Kit was amazing. I had the black leather jacket, like an aunt gave it to me.
No way, you're kidding me.
Yeah. But it was like a fake thing, that the Hoff was wearing, and I just felt like the coolest. And I had the Knight Rider lunch pail and this kind of thing, but I wouldn't call him a superhero, but it's a good one. It's a hero that you looked up to, right? Basically, Hoff, amazing car, always, beautiful woman he was dating. Maybe he didn't realize that, putting bad guys in jail. Forward-looking kind of spy stuff too. For me, it's funny. Like since you asked, I loved. Did you ever have He-Man?
Oh, of course, man. Yeah, that's another fun. Oh man, you're digging deep in my childhood
Good
memories.
place to start.
Yeah. We had He-Man and we played He-Man in kindergarten. Okay, So it was this beautiful kindergarten that had an outdoors, and they were always playing around the tree, and that was our castle kind of thing, right? But I was not the strongest guy in kindergarten. There was a guy called Clemens, and he always said, I'm gonna pee my pants." It's like always said, "I am He-Man, and you are Fistman." That was the number two to He-Man was Fistman. So I I was always Fistman. So yeah, I know He-Man, but I'm kind of a bit scarred because I was only Fistman. I know these little
Action figure,
figurines.
right.
I only know those. I don't think I've ever seen him like Knight Rider. Of course, I couldn't watch He-Man, so I only knew it was this blonde, muscly guy. That's
That's
basically,
right.
and there was this bad guy, which 'cause that's all I knew. I basically my He-Man memory is me only being Fistman and those figurines. I've never seen the thing on TV. My life.
It's funny. Well, it's funny to me, like, I mean, superpowers and superheroes, I think have kind of, they start with us when we're younger, right? Like, they start with, kids shows, they start with the books, etcetera, blah, blah, blah. And I actually think, like, in modern society, like, I think we're also just continue to be obsessed with them, right? And
Right, look at all the Marvel movies and yeah,
exactly.
crazy.
I mean, as soon as, and I was a huge comic book fan, growing up. I would collect comics, etcetera. I was, big part of storytelling. And I was always wondering, why is there not a comic book, movie of X-Men or something? They could do the Batmans. Batman was easier, right? But like, the real Wolverine, that kind of cool stuff. And of course, they didn't have the technology then, but as soon as they had it, they couldn't stop making them, right? Because everyone wanted to get them.
To me, that was I never kind of got them all. I don't know. I never got into them, but that's a different
It's
story. What's this like kind of superpower? I'm now crashing your course here. You would like to have like
in general.
yeah, like, yeah, in general. Like if you were one of those, heroes, what's the one you would like to
All
have?
right, I'm gonna
Oh, okay, then
on
I
this
mute
because
myself.
I'm
Yeah.
so glad you asked. So growing up, the one superpower I always wanted to have was stopping time. I thought it would just be amazing. Stop time
Yeah.
and the world would freeze and I would just go around and,
Just stopping it or rewinding.
stopping.
Okay.
I never thought about rewinding it.
Yeah. Okay.
And I wasn't that sophisticated as a 5-year-old. Basically, what I wanted, was to stop time.
Loser.
That's true. Stop time and then go through the supermarkets because my mom wouldn't let me eat all the great stuff, So I was just like, I'm gonna stop time while everyone's there. I'm gonna eat all
Amazing.
the
I
frozen.
love it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Stick my finger into the yogurt. That's what I did.
So gross.
Through the through
That's
the aluminum foil on top. Yeah,
that's how your abuse of yogurt started, huh? You just went
exactly. That's how I saw it. My mom had to buy lots of yogurt that day.
Well, it's since evolved. I mean, it's funny. I was mentioning this to you earlier. Like, it's evolved. Like right now, I think I channel my anxiety about what's happening in the world into a recurring dream I have, where I actually play a bit of a superpower in a way,
Huh.
and it's a weird mental exercise where I'm kind of like have godlike powers that I learn, but I have 8 hours until they disappear, and it's like a kind of prioritization exercise in a weird way, right? Because at first, and I'm have godlike powers. So basically, the first thing I like to do is like, what's in the war in Ukraine? And, I like knock out the Kremlin, fill up the trenches, with dirt, and with the snap of my fingers. Then I go straight to the DMZ in Korea and ride a surfboard and blow up all the mines. It's just like really fun. Then I was like lift all the plastic out of the ocean, send it to space, like trying to rewire the world in the best way you can in 8 hours is just kind of a fun exercise. So I'm answering your question through a dream I always keep coming to. And I always kind of fall asleep because, I just keep up thinking of the things I would love to do, and what I could do and
That's
until I
amazing.
pass out.
That's
Yeah.
amazing. I had dreams, but I haven't had them in a while where I was able to fly. And then I flew, and then when I was flying, I was like, "Damn, what if I now forget how you fly and fall down?" That's a very weird dream. Maybe that's an imposter syndrome dream. I don't know. I have to
That's
analyze this.
all of it. I have a broad naivete of imposter syndrome. It's fun.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I mean, headline is that we think about it a lot, whether it's in our dreams, whether it's in our in our media and the stories that we consume, et cetera. But I actually think about when you really get real. do you believe that do you believe in superpowers? That is, and actually, like that, there are skills that you are extraordinary at and better than others.
No, absolutely.
Yeah,
I absolutely do. I think it's no, I think everyone has them. It's not easy always to find out what they are
yeah.
and to actually then, be able to apply them wherever you are. But I absolutely think we all have, one kind of superpower.
And before I ask you what's yours, do you think that um, can you have more than one? Like, is it? And do you believe that you know everyone's got one kind of special gift? I sound like Dirk Diggler in Boogie Nights, but like, but I think that was the line of the movie. But that everyone's is good at least at one thing. It's about finding it and harnessing it and unlocking it.
I don't know if it's more than one or two, and it depends on how you group them
Yeah.
and do things. I think, and I'm not sure what mine is actually. It'd be more interesting to see what you think actually, and the other way around. But I find it's not so easy to actually know what is really my superpower. I find that as an interesting one to think about.
My company has these superpower cards, which is designed to help you find your superpower.
The problem is you didn't find the cards.
Yeah, yeah. Well, the problem is I gave them to you years ago. You clearly didn't use them.
It's true. I didn't use them. Really, that's what they were
Yeah,
for.
yeah.
I thought they were
No,
just pretty cards to look at.
no. And that is our relationship in a nutshell. Um, Actually, I think like if I had to name a superpower for you, I mean there are many, but I think you're an extraordinary systems thinker. I think you think in systems. I think you're able to connect dots and see the implications of and the causes of different moves and think ahead in remarkable ways. I think you're quite really good at that. And I think you have one of the all-time great ones, which is grit. And you know what grit means, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah. And that is you when you set your mind to it, you will make this thing happen one way or another. And I think you giving up is it's really hard for you to do.
It's actually the anti-superpower giving up. I
Yeah.
can't It's very hard to give up, which
Yeah.
is also not, can,
We'll
get
talk
you
about
into trouble. Yeah,
shadow sides in a bit, yeah, but,
exactly,
anyway, does
exactly.
that resonate with you?
It does, it does.
Yeah?
I
Cool.
think there is another one in there, but yeah.
Oh, please
Yeah.
tell me. Now that this conversation's gotten your
Exactly.
juices flowing.
No, no. This is always so interesting when you hear that from the outside, right?
Yeah.
What people think of it, what you yourself think. I think it's because sometimes we take our superpowers for granted, and that's
Mm,
why I think it's always interesting to ask someone else.
mm.
Because I guess that our superpowers that we use all the time, we get so used to them that it's nothing special anymore. So I wouldn't see, the systems. Okay, I was like, I don't have great words like this for those, but I do think I have another one, and that is, and is maybe connected with the grit is passion, and that the fact that I can ignite that in other people and bring them together and make them, follow a certain goal, and that's a superpower I've had, and that is one that I really is also fun to have.
Yeah,
And
of
I
course.
think that's kind of, I don't know if that should be part of it, right? That's a good question, right? Does this superpower, or using your superpower bring you joy necessarily? Because grit doesn't bring me joy. To be honest, when I hear grit, it's like, yeah, I know, but phew, I mean, grit's also is hard. It's hard
Yeah,
to
yeah,
have
of
grit and
course.
to exercise grit and to stay. So, is this, shouldn't that bring you joy at some point too?
Oh,
A
well, first of all,
superpower?
I think you have multiple, which you just outlined, and I think, not I mean, some are just hard, and I think let me push back a little bit with you on grit, because I think grit is also you stuck with it long enough to get it done, and the satisfaction that comes with that, and
That's fair. It comes afterwards,
yeah,
right? It
yeah,
comes
yeah,
afterwards. Yeah,
exactly,
okay, I can see that. I can see that.
yeah,
Okay, fair enough. So, what are yours? I mean, you have such nice, systems. I wouldn't have that nice
sexy,
word. So,
right?
yeah, it's very
Yeah,
sexy.
yeah,
I like it.
exactly.
I'm gonna print a T-shirt now. But what are your superpowers?
Well, let's do the same exercise. What do you think mine are?
Yeah, but I don't have these
Well,
nice,
you
sexy
okay, but
words.
you can.
Like I didn't read the cards. I didn't read the cards.
Okay, but you can just give some broad strokes here. I want to see, and then if they match up with mine.
I think you are an extraordinarily creative person.
Mhm.
You come up with shit. that is, we can talk about the shadow sides of this, but you can, and you also are fearless in that. And I really like that about you, that you are like, fuck it, I'm just gonna go with it.
Mm,
And that is one thing, and a visionary at that, and
mm,
and you can think big. You can
mm.
think big where others can't, and but you manage also through the way how you are and how you interact with people, and because you're very personable, to actually land that grandiose vision with
Sometimes.
other people sometimes, right? No, but you make it accessible. It's not some lofty arrogant vision. You make it very relatable, and these are, I think, two superpowers that when combined, I think make Mark Winter.
Yeah, that's very kind. Um,
Am I correct?
I
Do they resonate with you?
wow, good. It does resonate. Thank you very much. And I would add, well, it's actually one I would add is energy. I didn't realize that
Good point.
my founder at one point of this company was when we was first conceiving of these little superpower cards, and we had to take photos of people, to embody which embody these types of superpowers. And he's like Mark Winter's energy, pure
That's
energy.
awesome.
Yeah,
Sounds so.
sounds
Mark
cool.
Winter is energy.
Yeah, that sounds
I
cool.
love it.
Depends where it's directed, but when it's full on, it's good. No, I think that those are really good descriptions of
But
what they
how do
are.
you find yours? I mean, or how do you realize what is yours?
So
And
I
what's the benefit of knowing it, actually? Let's start there.
man, I think you if you build your life's work around something that you're really good at, you know, or that feels like it taps into something that you're really good at, um, then um, you have good things ahead for you.
Is that around this whole notion of, strengthening your strength rather than strengthening your weaknesses? You know that concept?
I do, well, explain it for our audience. I think it's a great one.
Well, it is actually it's it's about when you have your strengths and weaknesses of your personality. It says to rather invest in your strengths and make them even stronger,
Mm,
and make them superpowers, to stay with our with our topic today, rather than going to try to be better at something that you're just naturally not good at. So you waste an extraordinary amount of energy to probably go from -8 to -7,
mm,
right? Where you could, with the same energy, go from 7 + 7 to 11, right? Because it's there's more return on what you're good at than
I love
on
that.
what you're bad
I
at.
love that. Um, I think that's a great life philosophy, and I think that's really interesting. I actually never. It's been some time since I thought about that, and I think it's great. And actually, I think a lot of people waste time probably trying to create an all around game, of talents versus doubling down what you're really great at.
100%. And I find um all these se- self improvement and becoming better and more efficient in what you do, kind of things,
Mm,
right? That you read also everywhere on LinkedIn and so on. So I have to get up at 5 a.m. club, right? I have to get up, I have to do this, I have to be organized, I have to blah blah blah, right? So and then I was an and still am sometimes a victim of that, in a sense, as like, okay, I was always disorganized, in a sense, right? I mean, I could lose things.
mm,
I never had a tidy and nice to-do list. I don't know how many things I've tried in my life to keep to-dos in one place. I wrote them on a book. I wrote them in an app, in the next app, in the other book, blah, 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 right? It just didn't work for me. Nothing of these things worked for me. And then once I worked with a professional coach, it was just before I became CEO, and I told him that, and he was like, fuck it. Fuck it. I mean, do you remember the things that are important? I said, yeah, I put them somewhere, and I get them, right? I mean, it's like, yeah, okay, then that's what it is. And then I was like, do I have to have like regular? I was like really trying to make everything right.
mm.
And he's like, dude, you are now the biggest lion in the fucking jungle, right? You do it like you want to do it. And if you want someone's information, you go there and you get it. It's like when a lion wants to eat, he eats. You need to kind of follow what you're good at now. And if your pace is like this, and you're in charge of this, is your responsibility. That's what's your pace.
Right,
But
right.
and he's also saying, not don't try to put yourself into a corner that you are not. You kind of need to live. I mean, there are some things that we have to do in professional life that is kind of like a table stake,
Of
right?
course.
So you can't show up late and all these kind of things, of course, right? You can't just say, "Oh no, sorry, that's how I am." Um, but on the other hand, yeah, some things don't force yourself into it. Don't
Right.
force yourself into a to-do list if you're not the kind. If you don't forget shit usually, but you somehow manage, you manage.
But
So that's kind of the thing, an
yeah, I mean,
example, a story that
totally. And I love it. I love the philosophy. Look, I mean, they're healthy behaviors, right? Let's call it like our good housekeeping, right?
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
you
It's
know,
better to do it like not.
life
Yeah,
hacks. Yeah.
yeah.
You should, make a list to be more organized. You should do, that's helpful. And I think like, it's funny. Like I, I feel like when you hone in on your power, when you're actually expressing one of the best versions of yourself, you know, you are tapping into what you're naturally good at. You are either, in your sense, you're if you're leading people. I mean, I think you feel incredible joy, doing that. And for some who have, or systems think the way you figure out problems and how to figure out problems, right, and connect those dots. It's you become a force to be reckoned with.
Yeah. And I get that's what get to be successful in that. So
Sure.
do things where you're not playing to your strength, right? Because you're also not going to be great at it,
Or you're not seen.
or you're not seen. Well,
And
why?
that's
Yeah,
a huge one, right? Like, um,
or
uh,
why you are not seen? Usually because
well,
you're not great at it.
uh, that's another, bit,
No, but
there's
I think sorry to interrupt you, but I mean that's kind of like I think a very good answer from you why it is important to know what is your superpower.
Mhm,
Because I mean you better do something that is connected to this. It's gonna
that's
make
right.
you happier,
That's
it's
right.
gonna make you more successful. We're gonna talk about success maybe
Yeah.
tonight.
Yeah.
And so that's that. So the next question is how do you actually find out? Unless especially if you don't find
Yeah, if you
Mark's
don't have if you
cards.
don't have a series of exercises, cards, I mean, first of all, it's let me ask you this. You know, the 3 qualities I cited about you. Yeah, let's pretend for a moment that those are the actual ones. There might be others, but just for now, for the sake of argument. Did you know, as being a student growing up, that you were better you could feel that you were better at something than something else?
Yes. But it's not none of the things that you described. I mean, I just had a very easy time in school. I was just
'Cause you're
very
just a smart motherfucker, right?
no,
But
yeah, my brain retained information very well,
yeah,
very easily without doing
that's
much.
why
I
we
was
we we used to
yeah.
call it the Terminator, right? I mean, just
Yeah.
there's a big hard drive in there,
It gets a bit sketchy with nights like yesterday.
Okay, but I
But
mean,
yeah, I knew that was something that I could rely, and I relied on it. As a lazy motherfucker as I am, I did 100% rely on that.
right, right. So you knew that, like, there was already a skill, right? And then it just developed and manifests,
Yeah.
I don't think so. That begs the question. I mean, the other ones like passion and, and grit that I cited, maybe, um, you discover those later on in life, right? I don't think you
You don't wake up one morning and know them, and I don't think, especially, I'm not sure even as a student, I was so aware,
right.
of those
Yeah,
because as I said before, right, those are the things you just grew up with, and they're always like that. I think you realize much later in life.
I think so. Here's my theory, right? I agree, but I'll bring this back to some of the superhero stories that we and that I led with. Like, it's like those origin stories, like in Spider-Man or something else like that. Like, you're put in a situation and then suddenly, like, you show up and holy shit, I did that,
Good point. Yeah,
you
yeah,
know?
yeah. It's true.
A and then you
Diamonds are
realize
made under pressure.
well, yeah, it may
As a consulting,
is there really it's
yeah,
oh my
stupid.
god.
Yeah, it's
Who made that?
no, it's
We should drag them
that's
up and
that's what you hear. Seriously, that's what you hear when it's 2:30 in the morning and the guy throws back the slide deck and said, "Do it again," and you say, "Fuck you," and he's like, "Diamonds are made under pressure."
really? Oh
Yeah,
my god. I can only imagine how many tears were burst at, upon hearing that.
I went to sleep, but
Okay. You
and
badass.
woke up at 5 to do it.
Yeah, exactly.
But
Okay.
anyways, yeah, yeah, yeah. That's
So
when I discovered grit, I guess.
that's when you discovered grit, exactly.
And then quickly switch though into I have to do something better so I don't have to be so greedy.
Yeah.
Anyways,
Well, I mean, but look, I think where we're landing is that yes, there's a belief that I think everyone is remarkably good at something. There's a thing you have to find that. How you find that is, you're testing your skill set against a wealth of experience. Sometimes it innately happens to you in school. Sometimes it happens to you because your boss throws you, a horrible slide deck, and you're like, okay, I actually have the will and the power to do this, etc. I always felt that I was probably a good writer. I love stories. I love to stay in the clouds, as you know all too well, probably much to your chagrin sometimes.
what do you mean?
Yeah. I mean,
No, I know exactly what you mean.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Sorry, just as an aside, like I was getting a haircut yesterday, and suddenly, like my mind was drifting off, thinking about a few other different problems, and then this woman, she cuts my hair all the time. She's like, "Oh, you're there again? Welcome back."
Really?
Yeah,
That's
I know.
a
Yeah,
that's a
yeah,
very insightful
yeah, yeah.
what do
There's
you call
some
it?
real time,
Hairdresser.
yeah, real time feedback. Let's flip it. So, let's go a little bit deeper because there's also the remarkable things that you're good at, and then I think there's the shadow sides. The dark
Lovely.
side of.
I've been thinking of those all the time now. The last 5 minutes, it was yeah.
Oh, sorry, I finally
That's
got there. There
yeah.
you go.
Finally get there. No, I was about to ask you. So I mean, clearly, when you think of your superpowers, what are the shadow sides of them?
There are lots. I
Oh, you
think,
just mentioned one actually.
yeah, I
But
mean, you stay in the cloud, sure, but I actually think, like, sometimes I see a thing, and enrolling others behind it, right? Usually, I'm pretty good at it, but sometimes it's hard to. I get lost in the pursuit of it, first, and I get up,
mm-hmm.
and um, it's hard for me to articulate what I'm doing, you know,
Mm.
and I get really frustrated because I want to get to the making, and actually really sharpen it to life. But I actually realize I can be much better bringing other people along for the journey.
Okay.
Uh, and I think, having what I'll call a beautiful naivete sometimes, um, in thinking about ideas, or thinking about creative projects. Sometimes you can just remove the beautiful and they're just naive.
Yeah. I think the first thing to say about this, right, is that wherever there's light, there's shadow. Period.
Mm,
Right.
mm,
And so it's I think the first thing is about accepting those a
mm,
little bit, right? It
mm,
is like it's great. My mind works in great ways, but sometimes if I forget shit.
mm.
Right. But it saves me writing lists. But some balls are gonna I'm very good at having 200 balls up in the air, but I have to accept that 15 are gonna drop the floor.
Yeah,
Right. And the thing is it's still better than someone who only has 3 balls up in the air.
true,
That's kind of
true.
that's one thing. And the other one with grit, I said it before, for me it's very hard to give up on things.
Mm,
And sometimes it's better to just let go. And
mm,
and especially then when things don't work the way I want, it is a lot of energy for me to let go. It
yeah,
takes a lot of energy.
yeah, yeah.
And it,
I've
it
seen
it
that.
haunts me for years sometimes,
Mm,
right?
mm,
And on the systems thinking one too, I love to solve problems and think about things. I am not always, and when I'm done and I have it solved in my head, I'm ready to move on. And that's when the actual work actually starts, because you then
right.
have to start talking to people, explaining and so on and so on. And my head's already on the next problem because that's kind of what it feasts on. So that's the shadow side of it. But I think if you're aware of them and you can handle them and play with them and you understand, okay, 15 balls might fall,
Mm,
but these are the 15 that shouldn't fall, and those 15 are right up somewhere, and
yeah,
the rest will solve itself out. So you can hedge or against them, and when but I think it's all about knowing and understanding your superpowers and the other side of your superpowers.
that's a. I agree, and I think, if there's a little bit of advice I think we can give to people, who are listening, I imagine most of our listeners will probably have some good sense of something they're really good at, but being aware and talking about kind of the deep, the shadow sides of them are really helpful. And is someone also like, when I have a lot of creative projects, like I'll tell you this as an aside for my own marriage, nothing pisses me off more when I'm like, all right, I'm going to go work on this idea. And I tell my wife this, and she's like, oh, great. How much time do you need? And I'm like, as much fucking time as it takes for this idea to come through and be beautiful, etc.
Yeah, that's a very
Is it
German
is it 40
question.
minutes? Yeah, it's like how much time do I need to be creative? It's like ridiculous. It drives me crazy. And she knows this. Obviously, I'm joking about it, from time to time. And I try to be more efficient. Honestly, one good thing about it is that and how I channel my thoughts, I think, and um, there's so many distractions in the world. It's just easy, to which should be another kind of podcast, actually, like how to stay focused. But I at least we talk about it, and it's really helpful to and she knows to let me fly when I need to fly, and also be reined in a little bit when I'm staying in the darkness.
Are we ready to close this down soon? I
Yeah.
think we are. It's just two thoughts that I still want to share. The first one is, now we're sitting here and we're all cool and like, oh, this is my superpower. This is your
Yeah. I
superpower, right?
was I was thinking
So,
about that.
so, um, I mean, I didn't know for a while what my superpowers are, and I don't think about them often enough. That's number one. Plus, don't stress about it when you don't know what your superpower is. It's like, oh fuck, I need to know my superpower. Well, yeah, it'd be better, and I think life will make you find out. And in order to do so, really, obviously there's coachings and there's things, where you can do this. But the best thing is what we just did here is when you ask a very good friend that knows you also a little bit in a professional context. And I've done this with other friends
Mm,
as well, right? And when I tell them, mostly in times when they are struggling or questioning themselves. And I'm like, hey man, you are like the best, you're the most relatable person that I know, like another
yeah.
friend of mine. And
Yes.
when it's like, I would love to work, and everyone would love to work with you and for you. And then they would go out and be like, yeah, fuck, that's maybe my superpower. So use your friends for this. I think
Mm,
that's where you can really discover something, and everyone can. And that's just my
yeah.
2 cents on this
Cool.
one.
Yeah. But it's also worthy, and I think it's a worthy reflection, which is really simple to like think through and ask your friends, land on it,
Yes.
and that it's a
It's a
clarifying thing.
cheap, quick win,
Yeah,
actually.
it is a cheap, quick win.
It's a cheap, quick win.
Cool.
And here, the third one, sorry.
Yeah.
I still think that joy is a great door, because when you think of the things that give you joy, and you kind of then go deeper and ask why and why and why and why, I think you also get there.
Mm.
Is a theory. I don't know if this is corresponding to your cards, but I think joy is a great sign, a signal to point you in the right direction.
100%. Life is too short not to do anything that's joyful anyway. So it's an excellent path of inquiry. I agree. I agree.
Talking
Okay.
about joy, I tell you, I mean, this is the Terminator and Idiot of the Day, or the last 12 hours section. I woke up this morning at 4 o'clock,
Mm.
with some people. I was in this, I would say, shitty hotel, but it was okay. So, and they were talking, and you hear the lift door opening and everything. So I hope they
Oh
go
my
to bed.
god.
They were talking for an hour and a half, and I
No.
was hoping they would probably go at it, and I
At
would
least it's
have,
entertaining.
at least it's a bit entertaining. But I mean, you literally, I could hear them word by word. So that was my absolute. I was about to call them out and call reception,
Uh,
but then I felt also bad, and I just put something in my ear, and couldn't sleep anyways. But these are definitely my idiots of the week.
Mine, I try not to be political, but I mean, I got to say the Donald Trump saying that's not my signature on the Epstein birthday card is one of the funniest.
It's hilarious.
It's hilarious.
It's
It's like,
hilarious.
that's not mine. Exactly. It only hooks signed exactly how you signed it today.
Especially for a guy
Yeah.
that signs
Yeah.
150 executive orders a
Yeah,
day
exactly.
and loves to be on
Yeah,
TV doing
exactly.
that.
Yeah, exactly. That is he must think we're really, really stupid, or it's just
That's
he's
also his superpower.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Just
his
to get over it.
yeah, yeah.
I know. I mean, I hear you. My Terminator is what's the guitarist's name from yesterday night?
You're stealing mine. Sarah Crenshaw?
Oh, we have the same. It's
Uh,
so cute.
yeah, exactly. Well, that just shows you how good he is.
Man, it transports you in a different universe.
Yeah. I
And my
think
mind went somewhere. It was just beautiful. I mean, I was also a bit tired. It was just really nice.
I think yeah, yeah. First of all, plug Sarah Crenshaw. He's a regular at Terra Blues. Go see him when you're in New York. I think it's the joy of seeing a genius at work, right? And he's a genius. There's no question about it.
Insane. I
Uh,
mean, the thing is, I mean, you play guitar, you know
yeah,
about music, and you're
yeah,
always like, no, he's looping this, he's looping that. It's like, what the fuck are you talking about? I just hear things and see things that are so, uh, so out of this world. To me, that's a superhero because there is no way ever I could come even to 1% of this.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
you know what I mean? That's like, that's very clear.
All right.
Amazing. It was amazing.
It was
Thank
amazing. It
you
was
again for
amazing.
that.
Well, with that, we'll close this session. It was delightful chatting with you,
As
my
always.
favorite systems thinker.
Uh,